Understanding what you can buy here in Dubai with a mortgage can be quite complicated. Here at GenZone, we've helped many investors purchase both their dream house and their first investment. So with this in mind, let's have a look at the process, the timelines it will take and what to expect. Keep in mind, this can vary from person to person. So if you're looking for the best possible advice on mortgages, get in touch with us on the details below. So the first step will be for your qualification and eligibility. This will go through your income, what loans you may have going on. Based on this, we'll be able to get a rough idea of what your lending may look like so that we can have an idea of what properties you may want to look at. So after this, of course, it will be a case that we'll be looking to collect your documents. This will include passport, Emirates ID, pay slips, bank statements, and a lot more. So keep in mind that you will need to have these available for us to get to the end of this process. So once you've passed over this information, this will be sent on to the banks and we'll get a rough idea of what banks may offer you lending and at what rates. Different banks will offer different interest rates, processing fees and approval speeds. So make sure you pick the product that suits your needs and your long-term plans. It's important to consider here if you would like to go for a fixed mortgage or a variable rate mortgage, along with the early settlement fees. So keep this in mind when looking. So once you have selected the bank that you would like to go for, this tends to take about 2 to 5 days. And then following on from that, you'll then have your pre-approval. So your pre-approval will tend to last between 30 to 60 days. This will be the true amount of lending that you will be able to get, which will help, of course, when picking your property. At this point, you can definitely begin your viewings for that investment. What I would say is you can do this prior to being pre-approved, but it's always best to know what your max budget will be and what the banks will lend you. So this is the exciting part, looking for that property that fits you best. What I would say is take into account how long you have for pre-approval, as this will be the amount of time you have to look for the house. Of course, if you sign on a property on the last day of your pre-approval, this is completely fine. So it'll be based on when you sign the contract rather than the transfer date of the property. Once we have found that perfect property together and signed on that contract, if it's on a ready property, of course, then you will need the bank to value that property to ensure that their lending is safe. At this point, it is key to note that you will have a valuation fee. It tends to be around 2,000 to 3,000 dirhams. So once the valuer has been to the property that you've signed on, they will give a valuation report back to the bank regarding the pricing. Of course, if this hits market value, then you're all good to go. The bank will lend you the funds. Now the valuation is done and hit the mark, the bank will now generate a final offer letter. This is something that you'll need to go and sign in person, and once it's done, congratulations, your mortgage is now fully approved. In the final steps, the bank will disperse the funds to the seller. So at that point, you will be a homeowner. That is the process completed, you'll have the keys and it is now officially yours. It's key to note that this process in general has a few steps along the way, and the time frame can vary depending on the situation with the seller. So you can expect to see this process take around 30 to 90 days. However, here at GenZone, we would be looking to get this done as efficiently as possible. So if you're thinking of buying a property or need help with your mortgage, then get in contact with us on the details below. If you're not quite ready, click on the video above for more information.